Most predators evolve sharper senses or greater speed. Umbreon evolved away from light itself. Its body does not reflect brightness, it absorbs it. Even its glowing rings are not decoration, but biological signals that activate when it releases defensive toxins from its skin. Umbreon is one of the only known Pokémon whose survival system is built entirely around darkness. In abandoned cities, sealed ruins, and places where sunlight rarely reaches, it does not hunt, it waits. To understand Umbreon is to understand what happens when evolution stops chasing the sun and begins rebuilding life around shadow. But Umbreon is not born this way. Its entire life is decided before it ever sees the world, and it begins in only one kind of place. Umbreon do not reproduce in forests, meadows, or anywhere the sun touches freely. Their offspring emerge almost exclusively in places the world has forgotten. Collapsed temples with roofs long caved in. Abandoned cities where vegetation has sealed the streets in permanent shade. Underground chamber networks carved by ancient hands and left to silence. These are not random choices, they are biological requirements. The newborn Umbreon arrives with a sensory system so underdeveloped, so chemically volatile, that exposure to bright or fluctuating light can destabilize neural formation within hours. The stable darkness of ruin zones provides what no natural cave or forest shadow can offer: absolute consistency. Light levels remain fixed across entire day cycles. Thermal interference stays minimal. Competing species, those adapted to active and sunlit ecosystems, rarely venture into such barren architecture. Here, in the deep quiet of human absence, the juvenile Umbreon can calibrate without external pressure. Its photoreceptors can form slowly, layer by layer. Its skin chemistry can stabilize without disruption from competing stimuli. It is not hiding from the world, it is being built by the darkness. The ruin is not a refuge, it is a nursery. These ruins are not chosen for safety. They are chosen because outside them, survival drops to minutes. The young Umbreon and the Eevee that precedes it carries a fatal vulnerability. Its photoreceptors are unstable. Its dermal chemistry is unfinished. What would be mild morning light to another species registers as sensory violence to the juvenile Umbreon. Prolonged exposure triggers cascading failures. Pigment cells rupture, neural pathways misfire, thermal regulation collapses. In open terrain, under even partial sunlight, survival windows shrink to minutes. This is not weakness, it is filtration. The species has evolved to eliminate individuals incapable of recognizing and respecting shadow boundaries. Those who wander into light do not return. Those who remain in darkness survive long enough to mature. The sensitivity is temporary, but the lesson is permanent. The juvenile learns, through chemical pain and instinctive aversion, that light is not simply uncomfortable, it is hostile. By the time dermal structures harden and ocular systems stabilize, the behavioral pattern has already been written. Darkness is safety. Openness is death. The body will eventually tolerate light. The mind never will. So, survival does not come from exploration. It comes from restriction, and the restriction becomes extreme. For the first months of life, a juvenile Umbreon does not explore. It survives through radical confinement. Movement occurs only within sheltered corridors, underground chambers, and narrow passages where light contamination is physically impossible. Even nocturnal excursions are limited to windows of absolute darkness when cloud cover blocks lunar glow and no artificial light sources flicker nearby. This is not fear, it is metabolic necessity. The developing body cannot yet regulate its own energy cycles. Exposure to inconsistent light triggers hormonal surges that drain reserves faster than foraging can replenish. The juvenile would starve not from lack of food, but from systems burning fuel it cannot afford to lose. So, it waits. It memorizes the architecture. It learns which routes remain dark at which hours, which chambers hold stable temperatures, which corridors echo and which absorb sound. Every movement is calculated. Every excursion is brief. The world beyond the ruin exists, but the juvenile Umbreon does not yet have the biological equipment to survive it. The shadow is not a prison. It is the only environment its unfinished body can process. But confinement is only temporary. Because the body is already changing, and once it finishes, there is no return. As weeks pass, the juvenile body begins to harden into its permanent form. The transformation is not sudden. It is a slow, irreversible lock-in. Dermal pigment cells, once volatile and reactive, stabilize into deep black saturation. The fur loses all capacity to reflect. It absorbs completely. The ring patterns, faint and inconsistent at first, become fixed structures embedded in the skin itself, no longer surface markings but integrated tissue capable of biochemical signaling and energy conversion. The eyes undergo parallel reconstruction. Retinal cells multiply in configurations found in no diurnal species. The pupil widens permanently, sacrificing all daylight tolerance for extreme low light sensitivity. New receptor types emerge, capable of detecting wavelengths invisible to most predators and prey alike. The Umbreon is not simply adapting to darkness. It is becoming a nocturnal processing system housed in animal form. Every surface of its body now serves light regulation. The fur absorbs ambient photons and converts them to thermal energy. The rings store and emit controlled luminescent output. The eyes interpret what remains after absorption. Where other species carry vision as one sense among many, the Umbreon has rebuilt its entire organism around the single problem of seeing without light. The conversion is total and irreversible. The creature that emerges cannot return to daylight tolerance. It no longer needs to. But the most dangerous system is not the skin or the eyes. It is the light Umbreon produces itself. And early on, it cannot control it. The ring structures are not decoration. They are biological signal emitters wired directly to the Umbreon's central nervous system. When mature, they pulse in controlled rhythms, communicating territorial presence, emotional state, and metabolic condition to any observer capable of reading their frequencies. But this system does not arrive fully formed. In juveniles and transitional individuals, the rings misfire constantly. Luminescence triggers without intention. Pulses arrive at irregular intervals, broadcasting vulnerability to the darkness. The glow attracts attention the young Umbreon cannot yet defend against. Predators in ruin ecosystems, species long adapted to hunting in low light conditions, recognize erratic bioluminescence as a distress signal. They close in on the source. More dangerous still is the internal disruption that misfiring causes. The ring system is synchronized to the Umbreon's circadian rhythm, regulating sleep, digestion, and hormonal balance. When emissions misfire, the entire neurological cycle destabilizes. Sleep patterns fracture, hormonal releases arrive at wrong intervals. The body begins to treat itself as if under constant threat, burning energy reserves meant for growth and development. Mastering ring control is not optional. It is survival itself. The juvenile must learn to suppress output during vulnerable periods and emit only when territorial signaling is strategically necessary. Those who cannot regulate their own light become visible. In the world of the Umbreon, visibility is death. Controlling its own light is only the beginning, because darkness is not just where Umbreon lives. It is how its entire energy system is built. The adult Umbreon operates on an energy budget no diurnal predator could survive. Its metabolism has shifted toward extreme conservation. Heart rate slows during rest cycles to barely perceptible levels. Thermal regulation relies on environmental absorption rather than internal heat generation. The black fur, dense and completely light absorbent, captures ambient heat from stone, soil, and moonlight exposure during active hours, storing it in subcutaneous layers for gradual release through cooler periods. Food requirements drop accordingly. Where similarly sized predators might hunt nightly to sustain function, the Umbreon can maintain full operational capacity on infrequent feeding, sometimes waiting days between successful captures without performance degradation. This efficiency is not luxury, it is architectural necessity. The ruin ecosystems Umbreon inhabit do not support abundant prey populations. Populations are sparse and scattered. Competition is minimal, but so is available supply. The Umbreon survives not by outcompeting other hunters, but by needing less than any of them. Its body has been optimized for scarcity at every level. Every calorie is stretched, every movement is calculated against expenditure. In the economy of the Moonlit ruin, the Umbreon is not the strongest predator. It is the most efficient. This economy does not just shape how Umbreon feeds, it reshapes how it moves. Because in ruins, a single sound is failure. Movement in collapsed architecture requires more than caution. It requires total mastery. The mature Umbreon travels through environments filled with unstable debris, fragile surfaces, and acoustic traps that would expose any careless predator instantly. It has evolved a locomotion style built entirely around silence and invisibility. Paw pads have thickened into dense, sound-dampening tissue that absorbs impact rather than transmitting it. Weight distribution shifts fluidly, never committing full pressure to any single point of contact. The body moves low, nearly gliding, avoiding the skeletal posture that would create silhouette visibility against faint light sources. Navigation is precise and memorized. The Umbreon learns structural layouts not as visual maps, but as movement sequences, knowing instinctively which stones shift, which beams creak, which corridors amplify echo, and which absorb it. It does not merely walk through ruins, it flows through them, exploiting shadow corridors and dead acoustic zones that other species cannot perceive or access. Prey rarely detects approach. Rivals rarely detect presence. The Umbreon arrives, strikes, and withdraws before the environment registers any disturbance. In a world of crumbling stone and treacherous footing, it has become architecture itself, a shadow that knows every fracture in the dark. But even perfect movement creates another problem. What happens when two darkness-built systems enter the same space? Umbreon do not tolerate proximity. Their territories are maintained at distances far exceeding what prey availability alone would require. The reason is not aggression. It is neurological self-preservation. The bioluminescent ring system operates on specific frequencies tied to each individual's internal rhythm. When two Umbreon occupy overlapping ranges, their emissions interfere. Pulses arrive out of sync. The nervous system receives conflicting signals, interpreting the foreign rhythm as internal malfunction rather than external presence. Disorientation follows rapidly. Sleep cycles fragment. Territorial holders begin to misread their own metabolic states, triggering stress responses without any external threat present. Prolonged overlap can destabilize both individuals, degrading hunting efficiency, immune response, and reproductive viability within weeks. So, they space deliberately. Territories are marked not with scent or sound, but with light itself. Controlled ring pulses broadcast presence across significant distances, warning approaching individuals before interference range is reached. Conflicts are rare because contact is rare by design. Each Umbreon exists in its own isolated pocket of ruin, communicating only through the faint glow that says, "This darkness is claimed. Approach no further." And this instability reaches its peak at the one moment that matters most: reproduction. Reproduction does not occur on instinct alone. It follows strict environmental calculation. Umbreon breed only during extended periods of atmospheric darkness, when cloud cover persists and lunar illumination remains minimal for consecutive weeks. These windows are rare and unpredictable. They are also biologically mandatory. Offspring sensory systems require stable calibration conditions from the moment of emergence. Fluctuating light during early development produces the same fatal instabilities that kill juveniles exposed to open terrain. The adults wait, sometimes for entire seasons. Hormonal readiness can persist for extended periods without triggering mating behavior if environmental light conditions remain unstable. Only when darkness holds, when the ruins fall into true and lasting shadow, do pairs briefly converge. Mating is swift. Parental involvement is minimal beyond initial shelter selection. The newborn enters a world already filtered for its survival, a dark nursery prepared not by its parents, but by the sky itself. Timing is everything. The Umbreon does not fight the light. It waits for the light to leave. Because Umbreon is not only shaped by the ruin. Over time, the ruin becomes shaped by Umbreon. In abandoned spaces, ecosystems risk collapse. Without pressure, populations of nocturnal scavengers, light-sensitive insects, and opportunistic rodents expand unchecked, stripping resources and destabilizing the delicate balance that allows ruin environments to persist. The Umbreon provides that pressure. It hunts not abundantly but precisely, targeting species whose populations would otherwise overwhelm the niche. Its presence alone suppresses overexpansion. The faint glow of its rings, a warning that keeps prey species cautious, distributed, and sustainable. Remove the Umbreon and the ruin ecosystem fragments. Scavenger populations explode, then crash. Plant colonization accelerates beyond structural tolerance. The architecture that sheltered dozens of species begins to crumble faster, erasing the habitat entirely. The Umbreon is not merely a predator, it is a regulator. a shadow that holds the darkness in balance. Without it, the ruins would not slowly fade. They would fall,